Hi, this is Miss Mitchell, and today I'm going to talk to you about college and career readiness, and we're going to talk about post-secondary planning. Post-secondary simply means after high school, so we're going to talk about options for things that you might do after you graduate from RHS. So pretty much everything that you can do after high school falls into three categories, and we're going to look at these today. We're going to focus primarily on education because that's actually what most of our graduates do. Education includes anything from college, community college, to trade school, to barber college, to welding school, to culinary arts. Anything like that that is training you for a specific career. Military enlistment is a great option for some people, and if that is your goal, then you need to research the branches, figure out what you want to do, take the ASVAB, and you may have to retake it to get the scores that you want, and then work with a recruiter to help you get enlisted. Employment refers to going directly into the workforce without any type of specific job training. So it's basically just getting a job and going to work after you graduate. Some people want to take a gap year, and a gap year um, is fine, but statistically what happens is most people end up just going into employment. So if you say that you're going to take a year off to kind of figure out what you want to do, most people end up getting a job. They get used to having an income and making money, and at that point it's pretty hard to let go of that and go back to school full time. So statistically, gap years are not very successful because people end up not going back to school. This is just a quick to-do list, and we're going to talk about all of these things throughout the presentation. We're going to talk about doing career searches, college searches, planning for the military if that's your goal, completing the FAFSA forecaster, taking the ACT again if you need to raise your scores, um, having a good transcript, good GPA and grades. And by the way, colleges see what is called a 6-semester transcript, and that is at the end of your junior year. They typically do not see your senior transcript until the end of your senior year. So they're admitting you based on your junior grades. And then we're going to talk a little bit about goal setting and planning goals for attending college or whatever you choose to do. So ACT, there's a lot of information here. I'm going to move through this kind of quickly. First, I want you to look at the green dates. These are the dates that are left for you to test if you're applying for college. You have 5 more dates. December 11th is going to be the last date that is accepted by most colleges. I encourage you to take the June and July test dates because most people are more relaxed over the summer. You don't have homework to do and you're not studying for other things, and you can put all your focus into taking the ACT and raising your score. So I highly recommend that you look at those test dates. Super scoring has started, so now when you take more than one ACT, you will get a super score. And all that means is that they're going to look for your highest score in each category and average those together regardless of the date. So if you take it 3 times and maybe on the first test your reading was higher and then the second test your math was higher, they're going to take the highest one from multiple test dates. When you were talking about the composite score, that's your average on one particular test date. It is up to the college and the scholarship organization to decide if they are going to accept super scoring. Section-only retesting has been postponed. That was going to be that nice thing where if you just needed to raise your math score, you could just go take the math test. But because of the pandemic, they have postponed that, and we're not quite sure when that will actually get started. The ACT is expensive, so if you qualify for a fee waiver, you need to come to the counseling center and you can get a fee waiver. You have to be on free and reduced lunch to qualify, and you're allowed to get up to 4. You do get them one at a time. So you get one, you use it on the test, then you can come back and get another one up until 4. Most colleges do not require the ACT with writing, but you are responsible for looking at your college and seeing if they are asking for that writing test. It's a very small number of people that actually have to take the writing test. And just remember that anytime that you go take the ACT, it is going to be on a Saturday. There are alternatives to the ACT. There's a new test called the Classical Learning Test, or CLT, that a few of you might see, but it's not very widely used yet. The 2 most common that you will see are the SAT and the Accuplacer. The SAT is very similar to the ACT, but some people score higher on it. Some people say it's a harder test. You never know until you get in there and take it. One thing that can be helpful is if you're really good at, say, math is 50% of your score. Or if you're really good at reading, reading is 50% of your score. It's just the two scores that are averaged instead of the four scores like on the ACT composite. The cost is very similar to the ACT, and you can get fee waivers. Again, you have to be on free and reduced lunch to get those. And for SAT, you get 2 instead of 4. One more reason to take the SAT would be if you are a student who feels very pressed for time on the ACT and you run out of time, you don't finish. On the SAT, it's actually a little slower paced and you have more time to finish the questions. So if time is an issue, consider trying the SAT. AccuPlacer is more similar to the SAT, but it's online, and so you take the test and you can get a score instantly. And you can use it for college admissions. At some schools, you can use it for course placement, and you can use it for the Academic Challenge Scholarship. You can take it at RHS on limited occasions. We don't give it a whole lot, but we usually give it 3 or 4 times during the spring. And then you can always go to NWAC and they give it there daily. So when you're making a college list, you want to think about 3 categories of schools: a reach school, a target school, and a safety school. The reach school is one that may be hard for you to get into. You might not have the highest GPA and test scores. The students that they typically accept may be above you in those areas, and sometimes they're very limited to the students that they accept. A target school is where you want to put your focus. That's the one where you're right on track with your GPA and your test scores. You're pretty sure you'll get in. You're on the level of their current students. And those are where you want to put kind of the bulk of your schools when you're making your list. And then a safety school, you want to have 1 or 2 of these. This is one that admits a lot of students, and you might automatically be admitted based on your GPA and test scores. Does not mean that these are bad schools, it just means that they admit a lot of students. I'm going to talk briefly about University of Arkansas because that's where most of our students aspire to go. For fall of 2022, the U of A is going to be test optional and test flexible, and that's based on your GPA. So if your GPA is 3.2 or higher, you will be admitted without test scores. They're not really going to even look at them. Below 3.2 GPA, you have to submit ACT or AccuPlacer scores. You can also use SAT if you have those, and they'll use that as criteria for admission. All of their scholarships will require test scores, and you have to have them for course placement. So everybody's going to turn in test scores, but they're only going to look at them for admission if your GPA is below 3.2. The U of A does recalculate your GPA onto a 4.0 scale. You have the option of using Common App, but most of you are not going to need to. So if you look over on the right side, this little box is just a screenshot of what it's going to look like when you go onto their website to apply. Notice right now it says fall of 2021, so it's too early for you guys. You have to wait until it says fall of 2022. But you'll see that there's a red button that says apply now, and then there's a white button that says you can also apply through the Common application. If U of A is your main school that you're applying to and you're not going to be applying to a lot of schools, definitely use the red button and click there to apply now. If you are going to be applying to a lot of different schools through Common App, then you could do your U of A application through the Common App. But for most of you, just click the red button and go. We also have a large number of students who apply to NWAC, and the nice thing about NWAC is it's a community college, so you don't have to live on campus. You can live at home and take classes there. You have to submit your test scores, but they're not required for admissions. They're actually used for course placement. There is not a minimum GPA, so you can attend NWAC even if you have not been the greatest high school student. And a lot of people do start college classes and they're much more mature and serious and actually do better in college classes than they did in high school. You can take classes to transfer to a 4-year university, or you can take associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree, or certificate programs, and a lot of those are a year, maybe a little more or less. NWAC does offer scholarships that you can apply for, and we're going to have a program in the fall called the NWAC VIP program that you should all sign up for. And NWAC staff actually comes over to campus and they'll help you with your application, your financial aid, and they'll actually help you get enrolled for courses there. This slide has a lot of Arkansas schools, and this is just for links. So when I send this to you on Remind, you can just click on these links and it'll take you right to the application page. Something that you might be interested in is where do most of our graduates go? Every year, the top two are U of A and NWAC. The next three kind of fluctuate from year to year, but this past year it was Arkansas Tech, UCA, ASU, and Pitt State was kind of close there with ASU. Pitt State is actually not an Arkansas school, it's in Kansas, but the other five were all Arkansas schools. There is a Texas school on this slide, and that is Texas A&M Texarkana. That's because it is right on the Arkansas border, and they give in-state tuition for Arkansas students. So I mentioned Common App earlier, and if you're going to be applying to multiple schools, you want to look at Common App and see if your schools are on the Common App list. Common App has over 900 schools, and the benefit to this is you apply one time and then you send that application to as many schools as you want to. So if you use Common App, you're going to link it to Naviance, and we'll teach you how to do that next year when you're a senior. And then your teachers will do letters of recommendation, your counselor will update their part. We do it all through Naviance, and then we send it directly to the colleges. Common App will open for you guys on August 1st. Coalition App is very similar, but it only has 150 member schools. So if your schools are on both lists, definitely choose the Common App. If you're applying to highly selective colleges, you are going to need letters of recommendation. Letters of recommendation are required for any highly competitive schools. They're also required for a lot of scholarship applications. And I'm going to tell you to choose your recommenders wisely. Make sure that you pick someone that's going to say very nice things about you. So if you have a teacher and you always turn your work in late, you need to keep that in mind. And that teacher might say that you're not the most organized student or you're not the most responsible student. So choose very wisely who you use as your recommenders. If you're doing Common App schools, your counselor will be one of your recommenders. We have to fill out a portion of that application for you. We always ask that you give us or any recommender a 2-week notice and that you fill out a recommendation request form that allows you to tell us interesting things about yourself. As part of your application, you do have to send a transcript. A transcript is a legal document showing everything that you've done while you're in high school. They're $2 and they are not actually sent by the counselor, they are sent by the registrar. If you're 18, then you have legal rights to send your own transcript, but if you're 17, you're still a minor and you have to have parental consent so that we can send it out for you. Some schools are doing college visits again, some are still virtual. So look at your schools, and if they're doing in-person visits, you can have one school business day as a junior and you can have 2 as a senior. That second one as a senior is dependent on grades and attendance. You do have to fill out a form before you go on your visit, and you grab that at the attendance window, and then you do have to bring something back signed showing that you were actually on the campus. These are just some important terms to know. I'm not going to read them all to you. But again, I wanted to point out FERPA. That is the law that makes you the legal owner of your educational records when you're 18. And then if you're a minor, it gives that ownership to your parents. Another term that I was going to point out is undergrad down at the bottom. An undergrad is a student who has not earned a bachelor's degree. So when you apply to college, people get kind of confused and sometimes they apply as a graduate. You're not a graduate. A graduate refers to someone who's already graduated college. So when you apply, you are an undergrad. And then for those of you who are applying to some of the out-of-state schools and the highly selective schools, be sure you look at those testing terms: test blind, test flexible, and test optional. You're responsible for knowing your school's testing policy and what they're doing as far as tests for 2022 applicants. So when you start searching for a college and a career, notice that the first thing is the same. You can't do too much research. So there's thousands of colleges in the US, there are thousands of different kinds of career, and people tend to choose what they've heard of. Instead, we encourage you to research and think out of the box a little bit. Look at some careers that you've never heard of, look for some schools, maybe that you don't know anyone that's ever been there. There's so many good schools and good careers out there, and you need to take some time to research those. We recommend that you narrow down your college list to about 3 to 5 schools, and the reason for that is that you'll be less stressed out your senior year. So not only are you thinking about application deadlines, but you have to keep up with scholarship deadlines, sending all your records to the college. It can get kind of overwhelming if you're juggling a lot of schools. I recommend 3 to 5. I would say most people do 8 to 10. Anything over that, you're going to be super stressed out trying to keep up with all those deadlines. Also, you're going to spend a lot of money because you have to pay a fee to every college. There's very few that allow you to apply for free. If you are on free and reduced lunch, see your counselor and we can try to help you get an application fee waiver. Just know that on the application fee waiver, it is a request. So we send it in and we're saying, hey, college, would you please let this student apply for free? Most of them say yes, but they can say no, so it's not a guarantee. I encourage you to use the College Supermatch in Navient. It's going to help you to narrow down colleges by factors that you are interested in, things that are important to you. You always want to consider whether you're going to live at home or away, where that school is located, what's the atmosphere, what are the demographics on campus, do they have activities that you're interested in, do they provide supports like tutoring, what's the class size, what's the weather. You're going to actually live at this college for 10 months out of the year. And then most upperclassmen live there year round. So think about that location and is that someplace that you're going to want to live for the long term? As far as careers, we're going to have you look at Naviance. There's some different inventories that I'll show you in a minute, and they give you very good ideas of careers that you might be suited for. But things you want to think about are, will you make enough money to support the lifestyle that you want? Does the career suit your personality? Does it suit your skills and your talents? Would you be passionate about doing that kind of work? Would it give you a purpose? What does the work day look like for that career? And will you want to get up every single day and go do that type of work? When it comes to your college applications, start early and know your deadlines. You can use Naviance and it'll help you track your applications and keep track of those deadlines. You've got to order your transcript and request your letters of recommendation early. Those things, if you request them late and they get there late, that's on you. So you've got to know when they are and request them early enough for people to get those things sent out. Again, think about that 2-week notice. Look ahead at what essay topics you might be asked to write about. If you don't have a resume, you might create one. Use Common App when it's possible to save you time. Do not let an adult or anyone else do your application. College reps say that they can tell when a parent has written that college application. If you qualify for free or reduced lunch, don't forget to ask about application fee waivers. And finally, it is on you to send your AP test scores. So any time that you've taken a test and you've made a 3 or higher, and if you've taken any ECE classes and you've passed them, you have to send those NWAC transcripts to your colleges. So the school can't do that for you. You have to do those things on your own. And then remember that you're applying as an undergrad student. So Naviance, I know some of you guys have been in there a lot, some of you guys hardly at all, but there's some really good things in there to help you search for college and careers. So this big word clever there, that's a link. So when I send this to you, you can click right on that. It's got your login information there to help you get logged in. And there's several things that you should do as a junior, or you could do them over the summer or early your senior year. The first 5 everybody should do, whether you're going to college, whether you're going to go to the military, or just go straight to work. You should all do these because they'll help you explore careers. The first 3 are career tests that you can take. And then the 4th one there, Explore Road Trip Nation, there's hundreds of videos in there. You can search careers that you're interested in, and then you can listen to people who are very successful in those fields, tell you how they got started and what they like about that line of work. And then you can build a resume. And then for those of you going to college, you're going to want to add on and do the College Supermatch, and that will help you filter down and narrow your list of college choices. What do colleges look for when they see applicants? So it depends on the college and it depends on how competitive they are, but your coursework is always at the top. So what courses did you take? Did you challenge yourself? Did you make good grades? What are your test scores? Those things are typically important. Test scores, especially during the pandemic, more and more schools are going test optional or test flexible. If you're bad at testing, that's good news for you because then you can focus more on what you did while you were in high school. A lot of colleges will use an essay. They'll look at your extracurricular activities. Did you do any community service? Have you ever been a leader in an organization? They like to see that you're excited about their university. So sometimes, like if you've had family that went to a particular college, or if you're a fan of their sports teams, they love to know that their college is your first choice. They do look at letters of recommendation, and then they consider any kind of special experiences or talents that you may have. And just like high school has changed a lot during the pandemic, colleges are also changing what they do. And so admissions, things that they're looking for now are a little different than they were 2 years ago. Those of you applying to highly selective colleges, I'll just say Yale, for example. If you're applying to Yale or Harvard, any of those schools, there's some extra things that you need to know. You need to know the difference between early action and early decision. And early action is great. That just means that you're applying early, you're getting out in front of most of the applicants, and hopefully you get an early answer as to whether or not you're going to be accepted at that school. Be very careful with early decision. Early decision is a legally binding commitment to attend the school. So if you get into Harvard, but then you don't have the money to attend Harvard, you have to get out of that legal contract that says that you're going to attend that school. The CSS profile is a financial aid application to help you get money for college. It's something that you do in addition to the FAFSA. So if your college is asking for CSS profile, you will do both things. You'll do the FAFSA and then the CSS. I've already mentioned Common App. It is a multi-school application platform, and what that means is that you fill it out one time and then you send it to multiple schools. There are several others. There's the Coalition app, the Common Black College app for HBCUs, that means historically black colleges and universities, and then there's the Universal Common app. SAT subject tests are no longer offered, so you should not be asked to provide any of those. If you are, you may want to check with your counselor. And then you need to know if your college is requiring test scores or if they're test optional, flexible, or test blind. If you're going to be a college athlete, it's very important that you follow all the rules for registration and recruitment. And there are three major organizations that you may need to register with. The first one is NCAA. That's the most widely known, and that's your D1, D2, and D3 schools. A smaller organization is NAIA, and NAIA is made up of a lot of smaller universities and private colleges. And then the NJCAA is the National Junior College Association. And so just talk to your coaches if you are planning on doing sports in college. They'll help you get registered. And if you need fee waivers to cover that registration fee, then see Coach Eford in the Counseling Center. The virtual office was created for our virtual students, but it's something that anyone can use, and it's just kind of a one location where you can find all kinds of links. So you'll see the college banners at the top. You can click on those and go to college admission sites. You can request your transcript. You can go to the FAFSA, ACT, SAT, your Naviance login, Arkansas Lottery, all kinds of things here in one location. I'm going to briefly talk about scholarships. Next fall, you'll have a full presentation on scholarships and financial aid. But the most important thing you're going to do is fill out the FAFSA. And you've probably heard the term FAFSA, but you may not know what it is. It's the free application for federal student aid. And you do it in October. It'll open up and you use your family's tax returns to help you fill out the FAFSA. And it's the number one thing you do to determine if you're going to qualify for financial aid. As a junior, you can use the FAFSA Forecaster. It's a free tool that's kind of a practice FAFSA, and it can show you kind of an idea of what you might qualify for. There's four major types of financial aid. The one that everybody wants is scholarships, and scholarships are need-based or merit-based or both. And merit-based means you've done something good. You're really good at something. It might be academics or sports or theater or band, but they're going to pay you money because you're good at something. Need-based means you demonstrate financial need, and so they're going to donate money to you for that reason. And then some scholarships are a combination. They're need and merit-based. Grants are money that you don't have to pay back. The most well-known one is a Pell Grant, and when you do your FAFSA, then it will tell you if you qualify for any grant money. Work Study is a program provided by the U.S. Department of Ed that allows you to work at a university, and the money that you earn can go towards your college expenses. And then loans, most people don't want to take them, but most people actually end up having to take loans to end up paying for the cost of college. So it is expensive, and if you have to take loans, you just want to be careful that you don't let it get out of hand. Keep the loans to a minimal amount and just be smart about it. If you do not have a 19 composite on your ACT, you're definitely going to want to keep testing so that you can bring that up, because then you can qualify for the Arkansas Challenge Scholarship. If you just can't get the 19 on the ACT, you could try the AccuPlacer, because we're allowed to average those scores together, and you could submit that for the Arkansas Challenge. QuestBridge is one that I'm mentioning right now because it's due so early in the school year. It is due in September, and the requirements are that you are a low-income, high-achieving student. If you meet those qualifications, you can click on QuestBridge and see more information about it. That one's a lot of work, so start early. Here are Ms. Mikowski's scholarship remind codes. She is our scholarship coordinator, and she will communicate with you primarily through Remind. Notice that they're by last name, and then there's a senior parent group at the bottom. If you want to go ahead and join that, please do, because she will start very early. As soon as school starts, she'll start sending out financial aid information, and you don't want to miss out on anything. When it comes time for your college applications, you're going to work with numerous people, not just your counselors. Counselors will help you with college and career advising, the common application, letters of recommendation, Naviance, college fee waivers, and more. When you need an ACT or SAT fee waiver, you're going to see Miss Wendy, the counseling secretary. When you need help with scholarships and financial aid or your FAFSA, you see the scholarship coordinator. When you need your transcript or your diploma, or later if you've got questions about honor grad, you see the registrar. And then for college visits, you see Ms. Estes in the attendance office. So to wrap things up, some next steps that you need to take. Remember, end this year strong, because you want a good, strong 6th semester transcript. Take the ACT again as needed, or take additional tests if that will help you raise your scores. Start your college and career list and aim for 3 to 5 that you're seriously thinking about. Join Ms. Mitkowski's Remind so you don't miss out on any information for financial aid. Do your FAFSA forecaster. If you want to start college applications over the summer, you can. Some will open really early, some open as early as July 1st, and then August 1st is a pretty common date for things to open. No matter how early you apply, your counselor cannot start working with you on recommendations until the 3rd or 4th week of the school year, and that's just because we are really backed up with enrollment and registration and scheduling until then. If you want to join the military, don't forget to take the ASVAB. We will offer it in the fall of your senior year. Research the branches, and then be sure you start working with a recruiter. If you're planning on going into the workforce, be sure that you take some of those career inventories to find out what your skills are so that you can settle into a good career. In the fall, we will have more presentations for you over financial aid and scholarships. So don't feel like you have to know all that information now. We'll provide you with that later. And then you will have an individual senior conference with your counselor, where we'll review your graduation plans and your future plans. So we want you to have a strong finish to your junior year, and we look forward to working with you guys next fall when you're seniors.